Hi students and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a lovely week so far. I hope you're all staying healthy and staying strong. Good to see many of our members already in the class. Hi Navpreet, Tanush, good to see you in the class. Jenny, Kyber Nut, nice to see many of our other students. Loyed, Stanley, Appy, V's, good to have you all ready to learn. For this class, it's IELTS listening section. We're going to be specifically looking at part 1 and 2 and focusing on starting our IELTS listening with a band 9. While we wait for a few more of your classmates, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. for academic IELTS success. Check us out there. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we've got 6 full practice exams for you with 6 full listening sections. We're adding 4 more later this year. The websites look like this. This is our academic one with the blue background. You have to just click this big red button to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are an official British Council IELTS Test Registration Center and certified agents, so you're in good hands with us. Welcome, Georgian, to our group of members. Send me an email so I can hook you up with your perks. I'll show you that email in just a second. Welcome, Carolina, our moderator. This is our general IELTS website here with the green background. Again, you can click that big red button to join our premium package. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access. You can get our apps as well from your app store. You can buy the course through the app also. Academic IELTS Help links to ahelp.com. General IELTS Help links to gieltshelp.com. And for new members and for questions, send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. So Georgian, send me an email there and I'll hook you up with those videos, exams, and you can request lesson topics now for task 2, for instance. So that's great. Okay, everyone, so we've got lots more classes for you this week with reading and listening, Q&A for members, speaking part 3. So hang in there all week, study hard with us. Today we are looking at our 6th exam, listening. This is coming from either the general or the academic. The listening section is the same in both. I'm going to get right into it. So I'm going to play listening part 1 right away. I'm using my headset. I'm using a nice Bose speaker. If it's quiet for you, turn up the volume. Try to use a headset as well. That's what you do in the exam, the computer-based exam. And then we'll go through the answers after we finish part 1. Do not put your answers in the chat. I know that's really exciting to share that you have an answer, but don't share your answers until the end. That gives everybody a fair chance, okay? Now, when I start this listening part 1, you're going to see that I will look at the topic of each of the 4 parts of the listening section. So IELTS listening has 40 questions. It takes about 50 minutes. It has 4 parts. Each part has 10 questions, okay? During the introduction time, you have about a 1-minute introduction audio. During that time, it's a very smart strategy to look at the topic of each listening part, just so that your brain starts to kind of twist and turn and think about that information, okay? Space odd jobs, you definitely want to answer the questions as you listen, not afterwards taking notes, okay? But you want to answer as you listen. All right, everyone. So I'm just going to hop back to our website here because I'm going to use that to play the audio. I'm already logged in, so all I have to do is enter my student account And then in my student account, I have my computer-based practice exams. I have a full course, IELTS exams workbooks, lesson videos, and I have these audio CDs. By the way, we have over 100 HD lesson videos in here for every section in the full course. So here I'm going to go to CD number 6 because this is our 6th exam and then part 1. And I'm going to play the audio, so get ready to learn. Here we go.
This recording is copyrighted by 2Think1 Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings, and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Listening Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman concerning the requirements of running for municipal office. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Good morning. You've reached the Information Office for Municipal Affairs. This is Florence speaking.
Good morning, Florence. My name is Walter, and I'd like some information on running for municipal office in the upcoming election.
You're in the right place. The first piece of information I'll need from you is the specific office you'd like to run for.
Town councillor, I'd imagine.
The man says he would like to run for town councillor, so this has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. You've reached the Information Office for Municipal Affairs. This is Florence speaking.
Good morning, Florence. My name is Walter, and I'd like some information on running for municipal office in the upcoming election.
You're in the right place. The first piece of information I'll need from you is the specific office you'd like to run for.
Town councillor, I'd imagine.
Great. I need some information from you in order to get you on the ballot this September. Are you ready to get started?
Yes, I'm ready.
This should only take a few minutes. Okay then, let's start with your surname, Walter.
Colchester. Colchester.
And Walter is spelt in the regular fashion?
Yes, Walter.
Okay, next I need your date of birth.
I was born the 11th of December, 1979.
The 11th of December 1979 makes you 36 years old at the time of the September elections. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. I'll need your national insurance number.
My national insurance number is WC 285-698-33.
WC 285-698-33.
That's right.
Great. And the last pieces of information I need from you are your current address and phone number.
I live at 23 Shaftesbury Lane, Plymouth. And you can reach me on 01752 667 835.
Wonderful. Next, I'll give you some information.
Just a second. I accidentally knocked out my internet, but no problem. Just give me 1 sec.
On running for municipal office.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
First of all, you should know that you're one of 15 candidates so far that have registered for the 4 town councillor positions. Since the deadline for registration is in a week, I do not anticipate this number increasing by more than a candidate or 2. Second, please know that there are 3 all-candidate debates, of which you must attend 2 in order to qualify for office.
I have to participate in debates.
Yes, that's right. They are on the 14th and 28th of August, and the final one is held on the 4th of September. They'll be held at the local community hall on Ashford Street. Each one begins at 6 o'clock in the evening.
That sounds fine. Is there anything else I need to know?
Yes, there is. Do you plan on spending money on your campaign? This could be on adverts in newspapers, promotional signage, or other advertising.
Well, I was planning on taking an ad out in the local paper, yes.
Not a problem, but please keep in mind that there is a strict £2,000 limit on campaign spending for town councillors. All expenses must be reported to this office. Overspending will result in disqualification.
I don't think that should be a problem.
Oh, and one more thing, Mr. Colchester. There is a £50 registration fee for each candidate for town councillor. You may pay this fee over the phone by credit card, with a cheque in the post, or in person with cash, credit or debit. How would you like to pay?
I live right by the office, so I'll drop by this afternoon to pay in person.
My assistant will take care of that for you. I think that is all I need from my end. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. Thanks for your help.
You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
And always use that half minute to carefully check your answers. Oftentimes you can save 1 or 2 marks during that time. Okay, so we're going to look at the answers here and talk strategy in just a moment. Before we do that, so as I said to you at the beginning, it's a very good strategy to look at the topics of part 1, 2, 3, 4, especially 3 and 4 at the very beginning. Did anybody catch what the topics are going to be, or what kind of listening you're going to have for part 2, part 3, and part 4? Okay, so what are you going to be talking about? Okay, or what are you going to be listening to, I should say. So this is a very important strategy. During the instruction time, take a look at the topics of listening part 2, 3, and 4 so you can prepare your brain for this information. So part 2, what will that be about? Okay, so Carolina says something about salaries, book author, and history of roads. Amu says part 3 will be books and authors. Yeah, very good. Jyoti says salaries. Okay, so part 2, if you looked a little bit carefully, part 2 is something about a team meeting at a company. And part of that is salaries, you're right. Part 3 is definitely going to be an interview with an author. And part 4, some of you got this, which was great, is the history of roads. Yeah, so that's all you really needed to get. And just even having that information is super helpful so that when you get to those parts, your brain is already working, it's moving, it's getting ready to listen. Okay? All right? So that's what you want to do during the instruction time. In the computer-based exam, it's really easy to do this because you have a navigation bar at the bottom of the screen. So you just have to click and you'll get there. Okay? All right, so let's go through the answers together. Section 1, your goal is to get 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. It is the easiest part of the listening by far. So in this listening and in any practice material that's older than 2020, you're going to have an example, but you don't have that from 2020 onwards, okay? So the exams now, the IELTS exams, do not have an example at the beginning, okay? So don't expect the example. You're going to get right into the actual questions right away. So here you have a town councillor application form. And you have 5 questions here. When you have a form like this with 5 questions, they're not going to necessarily give you the answers in the same order, so be careful about that. All right, so the name of this candidate or this person who wants to apply for this position is Walter what? So he says the name, they spell the name, you have to get the spelling correct. Listen carefully. Practice listening to spelling and spelling in English, especially in British English, before you sit the IELTS exam. So Amu and Huang and Poonam all say Colchester. Colchester is the correct answer. Okay. Now, you have to have a capital C. Okay. And this C has to be capital for this to be correct. If you wrote a small c, you'll get it wrong. And letters that look the same when they're uppercase as lowercase, like C, you really want to make them nice and big. So if you have a kind of a half-size letter like this, some examiners might give you an X for that because I can't really tell if that's capital or not, okay? So if you're going to write it appropriately with using capitals and lowercase combinations, then write it with a nice big C, okay? So a very clear big C. Colchester. If you're going to write all capital letters, okay, if you're in the computer-based exam, just hit your caps lock button and then it'll be all capitals, okay? And that's okay too. All right, they'll give you the mark for that, Colchester. Okay, all right. So you can do that. Now, if you're in the paper-based exam, all right, if you're in the paper-based exam, what you should do is write it like that, and then you'll have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. And if you want to write all capitals, then what I recommend is writing it all lowercase during the listening because it's faster, okay? And then when you transfer during that 10 minutes to transfer to the answer sheet, transfer it all capitals. So Colchester, Colchester. Just make sure you don't make any spelling mistakes. Okay? Is everybody clear on that strategy that I showed you? So if you're not confident that you know the difference of when to use capitals and when not to, you should learn that because you will need to know that for university and for everyday function in society. But if for the IELTS, you just want to make sure that you don't miss marks based on capitalization, okay? Then in the computer-based exam, use the caps lock, okay? So if you prefer to write all capital letters so that you do not lose marks on capitalization mistakes, then A, in the computer-based exam, use caps lock. Key, okay. And in the paper-based exam, write all answers in the question booklet in lowercase letters and then change them to all uppercase when you transfer these to the answer booklet. Okay. The reason being is that it's much faster to write lowercase. Okay, so writing all uppercase is usually slower, bigger letters, more lines. All right. So that will really save, okay, time and energy, and it'll be efficient. Okay. So, good. Angun says yes. All right, Arun and our general IELTS. I'm happy you're liking the teaching. That's great. Okay, Walter Colchester, that's good. Let's put that back in there. I like proper capitalization, Colchester. There we go. The address, this kind of comes actually later on, but you have to catch it. So make sure that you're reading and reviewing all of this information, okay? So you know what you have to listen for, okay? So where does Mr. Colchester live? Carolina is giving everybody a bit of help here. It's the specific street address. It's just the number. It's 23 Shaftesbury Lane and Tanush. Amu, Krishna Shayam, Mystical Web. What a handle. You've got it all correct. Very nice. All right. And then the city, he's in Plymouth. Date of birth. When is this gentleman born? So he gives the date of birth. Again, it was very, very clear. You can use abbreviations. Okay. Aryan, yeah, you get one piece of paper for the computer-based exam for each part or each section of the IELTS. And of course, in the paper-based exam, they give you paper. Yeah. Okay, Krishna says it's the 11th of December, 1974. Paulo says it's 11th December, 1979. A lot of people agree with Paulo Race. Very good. And the easiest answer here is 11 December 1979. Okay, so use abbreviations. They will accept that. It saves you time so that you can catch the other answers. Plus, there's a lower chance of making spelling mistakes. So 11 December 1979, that's all you need for that to be correct. I don't recommend doing this. Because this kind of notation changes and it's a little bit awkward, so avoid doing that. Definitely write the month, at least the abbreviation for it. And remember, months are always capitalized as well. Okay, so big D. The phone number. What is the phone number of Mr. Walter Colchester? Okay. Navpreet is asking about the superscript 11th, like this. Okay, don't write superscripts in the IELTS, okay? So don't use 11th, don't use superscripts, all right? It's just a TH because it's the, it's not first in this case, it's 11th, but don't use, it's called a superscript, don't use superscripts, okay? Spaced odd jobs, you can, but again, don't write superscripts, okay? It's not necessarily, and if you make a mistake, if somebody writes this, for instance, this is wrong. You'll get the whole answer wrong, okay? So it's not necessary to write the superscript, all right? Okay, phone number. We're still on the phone number. Amit Kumar says the phone number is 0175-266-7835. Quen Tren Bu agrees. Jenny agrees. And Ewan agrees. Yeah, and they repeat that, so very good. Nobody in our general English help channel got that? Listen carefully to the numbers. They repeat them, right? So it's 0, 1, 7, 5, 2, 6, 6. Phone numbers are so long these days. 7, 8, 3, 5. Yeah. Spacing doesn't matter, okay? Don't worry about spacing. Just one long string of numbers and you're good to go. All right, national insurance number. Somebody was asking, what is that? Your national insurance number is the number used to identify you for work, for lots of different kinds of applications. Basically, your number for the government, okay? So Ayesha says it's WC2856983. Bakrat agrees. Poonam agrees. We've got tons of agreement there. That's great. For these, I definitely recommend any letter to be written in capital. So WC, capital letter, okay. 2856. Again, you don't have to worry about spacing. 9833. Yeah, so in the UK, they call this your national insurance number. In Canada, they call this your social insurance number. Okay, so every country has one form or another. It's basically your identification number for the government. It's used for tax purposes, but basically it's the most important number for the government to identify who you are, okay? Yeah, VG Pusala says it's called the SIN number, which is kind of weird. In Canada, the SIN, social insurance number, yeah. Okay, and then you had a little bit of a break to review the next set of questions, and you should use that according to how IELTS indicates. You should review the next set of questions. So we had this short table completion for 2 of the questions, discussing the debates, the political debates. That's where the politicians argue about their ideas. And it says write no more than 2 words for each answer. So this one was focusing on the second debate. There are 3 debates. Hopefully everybody caught that. Okay. And this one here is focusing on the second debate. What was the time of the second debate? Anybody remember that? Vicky says it was the 4th of September. Jasur says it was the 4th of September as well. I think that was the 3rd debate. 4th of September. The second debate was Krishna Shyam says 28th of August. And Krishna, you have the right answer, but you wrote it wrong. August has to be a big A, okay? So it's 28 Aug. Like that. That's your easiest answer. Huang Nguyen, very good. 28 Aug. Yeah, exactly. What's the time? Yesh Upadhyay, 6 o'clock is not enough. you're not going to get it right if you just write 6 o'clock, okay? There's 2 ways that you can get the time right. 6 p.m. is correct. 6 o'clock is not. 6 o'clock will get marked wrong. Why? Why is 6 o'clock wrong? You have to be very careful with this. It's a horrible way to lose a correct mark. Tanush, same thing. If you just write 6 like this, you'll get that wrong. Okay? Especially that one you'll get wrong. This one's bad, but this one's even worse. Why? Yeah, we don't know if it's the morning or night, so it's a 12-hour clock. So the only 2 correct answers that you can have with the other one is that. Okay, you change it to a 24-hour clock. That would be correct. Okay, because these 2 are perfectly the same. Okay, so 6 p.m. or 18 o'clock. Okay, so that's why. All right, be very careful. Don't lose easy marks like that. It's really, really a bad feeling when a candidate loses marks on something that's that simple. Okay, so be very, very, very careful. Okay, 18 o'clock, Duck Duong, is okay as well. Okay, 18 o'clock is okay, but 18 o'clock is it's a more complex way. So 6 p.m. or just 18:00. It's an easier way to write it than 18 o'clock. It's faster. Okay. Tanush, it's not more than 3 words. Okay. All right. So questions 8 to 9, write no more than 2 words for each answer. What is the campaign spending limit? So there's a maximum amount that somebody can spend on their campaigns to make it fair for everyone. Bakrat says it's 2,000, and Bakrat is right. No need to write pounds because we have pounds right there. Okay. All right, how much is the registration fee? Again, we have pounds here, so all we need is a number. What is the registration fee for running for town councillor? Yash, remember, no need to write pounds. Poonam, no need to write pounds because you have the symbol given in the sheet. Yep, so just 50. Okay, all you need there is 50. All right. And then the multiple choice. This is where you can take some notes and use your logic. What are 3 ways of paying the registration fee mentioned in the recording? So the administrator says, well, you can pay the £50 in a few different ways. What are the 3 different ways? So Ayesh says it's B, check by post, as well as C, credit in person. And D, Ayesha, no, you should never send money in the post. That's a really bad idea. Credit over the phone? Yeah, that looks okay. Cash by post, no, that your logic should tell you, no way. I mean, please don't put money into an envelope. That's usually a bad idea. Check over the phone, you can't do that. That's not possible. You can't send a check over the phone, okay? So that's not possible. And direct debit is not mentioned. So we know that the answers are B, C, and E in any order, all right? Okay, good job, everyone. Again, add up your answers, add up your marks, and remember that for part 1, you should try to go for 9 or 10. How did everybody do? So how many did you get correct for part 1? Tanush, you got 9 out of 10. That's good, Tanush. Thumbs up. All right. If you're getting 9 or if you're getting 10, you're doing a good job. Then that means that you can get a band 7 or more. Okay. If you're getting under 9, it's not that good. Mohit Jyoti, Dukdong, very good. Nice. Alice, 6s. Yeah, 6 is not ideal. Okay, you want to work hard if you're getting less than 9, all right? Okay, so let's do this. Let's go to the next one. Part 2 or section 2 is going to get more difficult. I'm going to again play this for you through my headset. Don't put your answers into the answer sheet. Here we go, everyone. Let's get right into part 2. Let's get rolling.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of 3 people discussing strategy for an upcoming meeting with investors. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Thank you both for coming in for this preparatory meeting. As you know, we have an extremely important meeting with our investors next week. While I'm more than confident in the work we have done over the past year, we must be prepared to justify our progress to our investors. After all, they are the ones who pay our salaries. First, I want to review the positive outcomes we've achieved over the past year. This will make up the bulk of our presentation. Amy, would you like to give us a rundown on this front?
Sure. We've achieved many positive outcomes over the past year, and furthermore, we've achieved more in the past 4 months than in the previous 8 months. So we're certainly showing significant progress. First, and most important, sales of our app are up 50% from last year, totaling 586,000 units in the past 12 months, up from 390,000 units in the previous year. This is great progress. Second, we're achieving a higher purchase rate. While our sales are up 50%, the number of total downloads has remained relatively constant. This means our conversion rate has increased 50% as well. This clearly demonstrates that our efforts in this area have been fruitful. By targeting the conversion rate instead of the raw download rate, we have raised our standing and search result priority within the application stores. This will eventually lead to a higher download rate and even more sales. The upward trajectory here is very clear. We have also decreased the complaint rate from 2.5% to 1.5%. While our goal is to get this rate as close to zero as possible, this decrease represents a positive outcome and shows that our efforts to increase customer satisfaction have been successful.
Yes, but if I may interrupt, I actually have to disagree on one point. I don't believe it should be a goal to get the complaints rate down to zero. While we certainly don't want a high complaint rate, the resources spent on getting the complaint rate down are better spent on increasing downloads and increasing the conversion rate. I think this is an important point to be made to the investors. While we certainly value the quality of our product, we are much more focused on maximising the value of the investor's investment. I think such a tack will go over well with the investors.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
That's a great point. I really want to emphasize that we are doing everything we can to optimize and maximize the money and resources we've been supplied with. Speaking of which, are we all agreed that we will be asking for 20% increase in operating budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. And how are you going to justify such an increase?
Well, certainly by pointing to the statistical outcomes you previously referenced, but also by our need to expand. We need to increase our catalogue of apps, and to do this, we will need to hire at least 2 additional developers. In addition to this, I think we are now at the point in our business where hiring a market analyst would be justified. Such a person could be charged with finding niches to exploit within the market. Right now, our operations in this regard are rudimentary at best, and an expert in the field could help increase our sales volume significantly. Such an expert's salary might take up 5% of our operating budget, but could lead to a 10% increase in sales or more. The 5% difference would result in a net income increase of almost £100,000.
I agree. Hiring a market analyst is long overdue. One more justification for a budget increase is an across-the-board pay rise, if only at the rate of inflation. 2%, say. This would go a long way to increasing worker morale and output quality. In addition to this,
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, and do check your answers. I'm just going to stop our audio here. I can see that a couple students are saying it's not clear. It has to do with YouTube servers, everyone. So depending on where you are in the world and how YouTube is relaying the stream, that can affect your local speed, because we're in ultra low latency especially, which means that we're almost in real time with each other. So not much we can do about that. Do set your stream to 720p if possible. Okay, I'm sure for some of you it was good quality. For some of you it wasn't. That tells me that it depends on where you are in the world and how your servers are relaying the stream. Okay. All right. So here we go, everyone. Definitely a company meeting, some kind of a software development company by the sounds of it. Okay. Here we go. So write no more than 2 words and or a number for each answer. Who pays the salaries of the workers in the recording? This was very clear. They mentioned this very, very clearly. It's one word. Harwinder says it's the investors. Franklin Timothy says it's the investors. Yeah, and it's a common noun, so investors, plural. Okay, that's all you need for the answer there. All right. Indeed, it was the investors. Okay. All right. Here we go. Table completion. Fairly tricky, but if you paid attention, really pay attention to the columns. So the current year changed from the previous year, 50% up in sales. So here you needed the number. This was the change, and this is the actual number. So in the current year, how many units did they sell? It was kind of tricky because they said the answer really quickly. They said it's up 50%. Tanush says 2.5. 2.5 definitely not. So how much sales did they have? Amu says 5,680. Mohit says 586,000 units. Yeah, Carolina agrees. 586,000. Yeah, that's all you need. Okay. I just write K for 1,000, and then they'll accept that. But to be sure, you can write 586,000. K is the abbreviation for 1,000. Okay, 586,000 units. If I were doing the paper-based exam, I would write 586K in my question booklet, and then in my answer booklet, I would probably transfer it as 586,000, and I might even make it pretty and put a comma in there, although it's not necessary. Okay, that's just done for ease of reading. All right, the downloads, they don't give it. It's constant. Conversions, the purchase rate is not given, and it's up. So they don't give the actual numbers here. The conversion or purchase rate is up by how much? Jasur, the listening speed is absolutely natural English. It's an English proficiency exam. It's not an ESL exam, so they will use very natural speed in that, okay? So number 13 is just 50 because they give you the percent there. So all you need is the number 50. It's 50%, Okay? You only needed 50. Dua Khan says 50. It's good. All right. The complaint rate, the current year, it's 1.5%. Last year was 2.5%. So what's the change? Duen Min says it's 1%. Duen Min. Smart. It is 1%. Okay. Anybody who put 2.5, you've got it wrong. Okay. So 1.5 current year, last year it's 2.5. So it's a difference of 1, right? So 1.5, 2.5, 2.5 minus 1.5 equals 1%, because this is change from. Pay really careful attention to the titles of columns and rows, okay? It's a very important tip. Pay careful attention to the titles of the columns and rows in tables. Otherwise, you can get a lot of marks wrong. Be super careful about that, okay? All right. Okay. IELTS is a thinking exam as well as an English exam. You don't have to use rocket science level thinking in the IELTS, but you do have to think. It's not just monkey see, monkey do. Okay. It's not just copying and pasting. All right. Okay. Number 15, what point do the two investors disagree on? So here you're listening for somebody saying, I disagree on this point, or I don't agree with you on that. Okay, they're not going to use a question. They're going to use a statement. I disagree. Ways to increase conversion rates, how to convince investors to increase funding. Try to answer it on your own first, and then you will get it, okay? The correct answer here was C, getting the complaint rate as low as possible. So they disagree on that point. The gentleman interrupts and he says, I disagree on that point. We don't need to necessarily focus on getting the complaint rate. So if you got C, good job. Okay, a lot of you did. That's fantastic. So Tanush, nicely done. Kiko highlights, well done. Okay, and then number 16, what is of primary importance according to the employees? And now here again, you can use logic as well. So maximizing the value of the investor's investment, increasing funding to their company to hire new people, convincing the company to increase download and raise the conversion rate. Well, if you're a successful company, then this is synonymous with your growth and profits. And so A makes sense. And I can see that, again, Carolina, Jack William, Navpreet with a lot of A's, okay, is good. All right, so A it is. Okay, good. Everybody's rolling along nicely. And then as our last set of questions, it was a summary completion, no more than 2 words. You have to use the specific word they use in the audio. The employees are requesting a 20% something in funding from the investors. That should have been pretty easy. They emphasize that word. Okay. Yeah, Jack, Mohit, very nice. So increase. Yeah, very good. Okay. Jasur, nicely done. Carolina, yeah, increase. Common noun. Definitely know this spelling because you're probably going to use it for task 1 if you're an academic IELTS student. Okay. This will allow the company to hire 2 additional what? So they want to get some more people into this company. And Alice Wambui says developers. Yeah. S, of course, because it's 2. So developers it is. Very nice, Jungmin and Dustin. Absolutely. Nicely done. Okay. Who will allow the company to broaden the catalog of apps? They would also like to hire a something. This is a little bit trickier. Here you have to use some higher level English. Bekzad got developers, and Ramya and Franklin got developers as well. Very good. Bekzad. Who else would they like to hire? Anybody get this one? Ramya, very good. So Ramya says a market analyst, and Carolina agrees. Jyoti agrees. Nice. We've got some good answers in our General English Help YouTube channel as well. Fantastic. Bekzad, it wasn't an expert. It was a market analyst. Okay. Market analyst, that job is a person who analyzes the market, figures out what sells, what doesn't sell, why it might sell, where it's worth advertising. So that's called a market analyst. Very good, Franklin. Timothy. Okay. All right. Now, okay, so who would be in charge of finding new areas for development? Finally, the team wants a pay raise pegged to the rate of something. Okay, so pay raises are at least usually pegged to this. And Jasur says it's 2%. It's not necessarily 2%. 2% is just the example, but they want a pay raise that's pegged to the rate of. It doesn't, rate of 2% actually doesn't make sense. Okay. Jyoti and Rashika and Carolina all agree with inflation. Yeah, Bekzad, go with the market analyst. That's where you want to kind of review it. Very nice, Bekzad. So Bekzad says that's inflation. Yeah, the rate of inflation is the amount that money is devalued each year. So how much money becomes less and less. So rate of inflation. If you're finding new words in these lessons, definitely look it up. It's good to learn the word inflation. I'm sure you'll learn some other interesting English when you look up inflation. Okay, inflation is a economic phenomenon that affects all of us around the world. It's the devaluation of money over time. All right, everyone. So that's it for the second part of the listening. How did you all do? So if you add up part 1 and part 2, so add up part 1 if you were here for both of those and part 2. And how did you do? What did you get from 20? How was your performance? Aryan Jane says 16 out of 20. Mohit says 18 out of 20. That's pretty good. If you're looking for a band 7, band 8, band 9 in the IELTS, then part 1 and 2 together should be 16 or more for your target to target a band 7 plus. Okay, the reason being is that part 3, part 4 are going to be more difficult. So you want to get at least 16, 15. Okay, so Tanush 17 is pretty good. All right. Okay. All right. Anuj, thank you so much for that super chat donation out of nowhere. Fantastic. Yeah, great. Okay, I just read your comment. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing your experience, and your band score is awesome. So yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, so anybody that got over 16, you're on the right track, and let's keep on that track. I'll be back tomorrow with part 3 and part 4 of this listening exam. So make sure you come back tomorrow at the same time, and just before that, we'll have another reading class for our members. Everybody's welcome to watch that, of course, also. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating this session. That was very, very helpful for everyone. I will be back again tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of your day. Stay positive, stay happy, stay healthy, and much love to wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.